You're watching for Jaspo TV, Haitian American television on the move, channel 18.9 Miami, Broward, channel 11.4 Palm Beach, and the Treasure Coast.
Real talk.
Talk with DERLINE Pierre Louis. I am DERLINE Pierre Louis. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in, for listening, for streaming to all the different platforms that Real Talk is being presented to you. Again, my name is DERLINE Pierre Louis. It is tax season, so I have a special guest, and he's going to be talking to you about what you can do with those thousands and thousands of dollars that you are getting back in a tax refund. You're watching, you're listening to, or you're streaming Real Talk with DERLINE Pierre Louis. I am DERLINE Pierre Louis. We'll be right back.
Bookkeeping, payroll, taxes. When these critical business services are well managed, you'll better manage your workload. At Economic Solution Services, our firm provides top-notch professional accounting services, business consulting services, and back-end management to small business owners. Whether you're a sole proprietorship, corporation, or nonprofit, call us for high-level customer service, guaranteed results, competitive pricing, and a dynamic business relationship. Schedule your free consultation today.
Real talk.
Welcome back to Real Talk with DERLINE Pierre Louis. I am DERLINE Pierre Louis, and I told you earlier before the break that I have a special guest for you. Yes, all my guests are special, every single one of them. You know why? Because they like to talk about my favorite thing in the world, me, myself, and I. We love talking about ourselves. We may act like we don't, but we do. Guess why? Who do you know the best? Who do you know the most about? Now, if you don't know much about yourself, you need to take a look in the mirror and figure this out, because you know you're with yourself all the time. That little voice in your head, your facial expressions, your tweaks, your tics, everything that you do is you. That's what makes you unique. So yes, before the break, we talked about my guest who's going to be here on Real Talk, who's going to share with you what to do with those thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars you're getting or you've already gotten from your tax refund. Where should you invest it? What should you do with it? Because we tend to be a consumer type of community, and we need to learn to do more investing and having our money work for us. So Alex, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you, Darlene. A pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
I'm very happy to be here on your show.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. And I think by the end of the recording, we should really have some good information for your audience.
Okay. So let's talk. Who is Alex? Alex, look into your camera. Tell the audience who you are. Your name, your companies, what you do, and why you're here.
Sure, Darlene. So my name is Alex Bendian. I'm a real estate and mortgage broker here in the local Palm Beach area. We do work the whole state of Florida, but we like to focus on communities. So I would say South Palm Beach County would be my main focus.
Your tri-counties?
Yeah, tri-counties.
Okay.
When it comes to lending, I'm able to expand a lot more, being that you don't necessarily have to be present to where the real estate is located.
That's true.
But when it comes to the real estate part of the business, we like to stay local.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm originally from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
De Puerto Rico. Me encanta mi gente.
All right.
And I am bilingual, so that definitely helps me
Yes,
with
it
the
does.
Hispanic community here.
So we need to
Palm
work
Beach.
on you being trilingual. You need to pick up some Creole.
I've been trying, and I think
Yeah.
it's about time.
Okay.
And I do work with a lot of people in the Haitian community.
Exactly.
Business professionals.
Yes.
Home buyers, sellers.
Yes.
So it's definitely something that's a little bit outside my scope right now, but I'm gonna try and get there. One of my goals.
All you can do is try.
Exactly.
Right? If you're trying,
Give it your best try.
give it your best.
Yeah.
Put your best foot forward.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Alex. So Alex, you are a mortgage broker and a real estate broker. What does that mean?
Well, that can mean a lot of things, but I'd like to think, as my company and myself and all the professionals that I work with, my associates, that we're pretty much a one-stop shop
Oh, I like that.
when it comes to your real estate needs. I think it's very important for today's modern realtor or anybody in the industry to have just a lot of knowledge of all the different parts of the real estate transaction. Taking in consideration, other parts like the title work, inspections. When you're talking about purchasing real estate, financing and the real estate or the property part of the transaction has to gel. It has to
Exactly.
really come together for a homeowner to have a good, or home buyer to have a good experience.
I see it in the sense in the medical field. So if I have my primary doctor and I go to a specialist, say I have a heart specialist or kidney specialist, I don't know what they call them. So we have a specialist.
Yeah.
I need the two of them to be communicating, because if my primary gives me a prescription drug and my specialist gives me another one, they need to know that there's going to be some kind of clash where those two drugs work.
Exactly.
So with real estate, the real estate broker and the mortgage broker, because you need a mortgage to buy the real estate.
That's
Or
right.
unless you got money like you don't need a mortgage. You just pull out the checkbook and write a check.
Well, I would love to think that I find the mortgage financial instrument, to be a crucial part of being able to be successful in this economy.
Yeah.
If you have a whole bundle of cash, hey, that's great. You want to buy properties cash, that's something that you could definitely do, and you can be very competitive. But when you have a mortgage, and if you get the right type of mortgage,
Yes.
you can leverage.
Okay, so we'll elaborate on the different types of mortgage in a few minutes, but I'm going to look into my camera and tell my people, you guys know I love other people's money. So if you have cash, invest it, have it work for you, take the proceeds, okay, and do something else with that. But instead of pulling out all that cash and buying a property cash, that's just me, borrow somebody else's money, okay, and use it to buy the property. Hopefully it's an investment property that's going to be paying you rent,
That's right.
and then you can use that to pay the mortgage that you just borrowed.
Yep. And that's the general principle, have the money work for you.
Yes.
I would say that the most important thing with home ownership is not just to stop at one property. Everybody has a first time
Yes.
experience, you call them the first time home buyers. But once you gain that experience, and once you have that one property under your belt, you can definitely expand
Exactly.
and start buying rental properties. And that's where mortgages become a lot more instrumental to you using the bank as your partner in making these investments and ultimately creating yourself a cash flow opportunity,
I like that.
which can definitely provide security for you and your family.
Cash flow.
Yes.
We talk about that in accounting, cash flow.
Very
So
important.
you're in real estate, you're in the finance world. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So now we need to get to know you, Alex. Who is Alex? Tell us a little about you, Alex.
Well, from a therapeutical standpoint,
Do I need to put my therapist hat on? I'm going to start charging you because I'm not $3.50 an hour now. I'm just saying.
well, I got to tell you, in my mid 40s, I've been doing real estate in the real estate industry since my 20s. I'm very career oriented.
Okay.
I'm also, a gym enthusiast.
Okay.
Former basketball player for.
We can see the biceps.
I'm trying. It's hard. Like you said, always give it your best try.
Yes.
It does get tougher as you get older. But I think there's got to be just consistency with everything that you do.
Consistency.
You know, trying to stay on top of your health, your fitness. It's very important, not only for your personal, but for your business life. So I've always been, you know, and this goes along with my family as well. My father was a triathlete.
Oh, okay.
He won a lot more medals than I have.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's definitely been a part of my life that I've incorporated into business. It's the competition aspect of it.
So given that your dad was a triathlete, did you see yourself going the route of real estate, or were you trying to go to the Olympics? I mean, what was the
Well, I'm a basketball player, even though
You
I'm
played
under
in high
6.
school?
I played in high school, and I almost made the FAU team in
Okay.
2022. Unfortunately, I suffered an ACL injury that if you in sports, you know that's
Both
one
of
of the
my boys
most,
played basketball. Ooh.
one of, you know, pretty much, not that I had a career, but, you know, it kind of stopped
But
me
it
dead in my
stopped you.
tracks.
I mean, it didn't give you the option to see if you had a career.
Exactly. They closed the door on me pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But you know, I always saw my father's competitive spirit. He was always up very early. He always, I would say, whether prepared or unprepared, he always went for it.
I like that.
So it was just a consistency that I saw where he always told me, you know, just moving forward, whether it's a fast pace, slow pace, but just moving forward. Just keep moving.
Keep moving. I like
And
that.
I think I got that kind of personality and mindset from him.
I like that.
And you know, not only, you know, my business, but, you know, my personal lifestyle. I'm always trying to do something different. You know, every year is kind of like a reset for me.
Okay.
Build on what I've already have established, and then hopefully grow till, you know, my clock runs out.
You and I have had conversations, but I didn't. That's why we're on Real Talk, okay? I'm learning a lot about Alex right now, okay? Well, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you said you learned a lot from your dad. Mom, what's going on with Mom?
Yeah, my mom was more of a, I would say, a scholar. She was a chemist. She went to University of Puerto Rico for that degree.
Okay.
But she ended up working in government, U.S. patents.
Oh, okay.
You know, an intellectual, very book smart.
Did you get anything from that part?
I gotta tell you, there's a lot of reading in real estate. And there's a lot of licenses that you and exams that you have to pass.
Exactly, and continuing education, right?
Continuing education, you always have to be studious. You always have to learn and master the subjects.
Okay, so
So
we'll thank Mom for that.
We'll thank her for disciplinating me and making sure that I did my homework
Yes.
and corrected my homework
Okay.
and called me out when I wasn't.
Okay.
So I guess I got both sides of it.
That's good.
You know, I think it was a very balanced upbringing. Even though I'm a child of divorce, I did get to see the best in them. And when they came together for us, you know, me and my sister, I have one
You have a
sibling, was my
sibling,
sister.
okay.
I think, you know, they did their jobs as parents.
You have
Yeah.
a sibling, so are you the oldest?
No, I'm the younger one.
You're the baby boy.
Yeah, well, you know,
Oh Lord,
I call myself her little big brother.
little big brother. Okay,
Yeah.
so she views you as her big brother.
Yeah, you know, we just
With all the muscle, she calls you and say, "Hey, I need backup."
I like to protect her. You know, I like to
I can
protect
see
her,
that.
and
I
you
can
know,
see that.
she has problems. You know, she can always call me
Oh.
a phone call away, and you know, I definitely try to involve myself as much as possible.
Do you guys hear that? Little big brothers. Protect your siblings. Protect your sisters.
Family is very important,
I see that.
especially
I see that.
when they're small.
Yes.
You know, you try to keep it tight.
So okay, now we're fast forwarding. You watch your dad, the discipline, the structure. Your mother is a chemist, worked for the government in patent, and she had that studious side. She made sure you stayed on top of your grades.
Yep.
But also what I'm sensing, what I'm hearing from you is the love. Yet they divorced, but that love is still there.
Yep.
And I usually tell parents, when you guys are divorced, you divorce each other, not the
That's right.
kids. We don't sign on for that.
That's right. That's right. And you know, unfortunately, they both passed away. My mom most recently, 2 years ago. My father, I think it's been 6 years now.
Okay.
But you know, they definitely left strong legacies
I
with
see.
us. You know, my father did very well in his business in Puerto Rico, imported and export of raw
Nice.
material.
Okay.
Caribbean business. You know,
Listen, exporting. Listen.
that's a lot of it, right?
When I tell people we just know how to make money,
Correct. We'll find
And
a
our
way.
goal, you and I and the rest of the team, our goal is to help you keep the money and have your money work for you.
Yep.
And have something to show.
Absolutely.
You know how many people that work 30, 40, 50 years of their lives and then they're on their dying bed and there's no property, there's no mortgage, there's no
Correct.
generational wealth, there's no inheritance to leave behind. We don't want that.
That's right.
We're stopping that right now.
That's right. And you know, you have to be responsible
Yes.
and
Discipline.
disciplined as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have kids to leave a legacy, because
No.
when I left Puerto Rico when I was 16, 17, I came here directly to Florida. I knew where I wanted to go. I'd watched enough TV,
To know you didn't want to be
Miami
in the snow.
Vice and stuff like
Miami
that.
Vice, oh my God, yes.
You know, I want to be on the boat. I want to be in a cigar boat, you know, with my hair, you know,
Oh
rushed
my
back in
God.
the middle of the ocean, fighting crime. No. But it, it was a quick decision for me to move to the United States. Puerto Rico is a great, great country, great people, but I just felt like I needed a little
You
bit
needed
more
more.
culture,
Yes.
I would say.
And exposure to
Exposure.
new things. Yeah.
Luckily enough, I went to an English-speaking school in Puerto Rico,
Oh,
so
good.
my
So your
adaptation
English is
was
oh wow, nice.
was incredible.
Yes.
It was quick and easy,
So the transition was smooth.
very smooth, very smooth. I
Okay.
came directly into college,
Nice.
so but he focused on that educational part of it, kind of getting me prepared for the world, which I think was a great vision for him, because when you're from like the Caribbean,
Yes.
sometimes you kind of get stuck in that
You
Caribbean
get
mentality.
stuck. Yes.
Which can sometimes be a little bit like, hey, listen, we're all going to stay here for the rest of our lives.
You can't pass. You can't.
He loved
make
Puerto
$1
Rico. He never
million.
left. He never
Yeah.
left.
Well, some people don't want to leave.
Right.
Yeah, even with the situation that's going on in Haiti, we just want security. We
Mhm.
want to be able to go about our days and be able to safely get out of our house and walk to the store and not have to worry about being kidnapped or killed or,
Yeah. Yeah,
We just want security back.
that's right.
Because we know how to make things work. You
Mhm.
give us a bag of bread and there's 32 slices in there? Guess what? We're going to turn it into a business.
Absolutely. And get another 32
And get another
slices
32 slices.
and then double up.
And
Absolutely.
then try to build other people and say, hey, I'll show you how to turn 16 into 32 and so forth.
Absolutely.
And that's that island mindset, the Caribbean mindset, and West Indies too. I've met people from across the board, and we have that.
Mhm.
So back to that mindset here in the United States.
Yep.
How are you working with your team so that we can help everybody get a piece of the pie? Because we call it the American pie.
Yeah.
How do we do
American
that?
Pie, American Dream.
Yeah.
One thing that I've learned is, sharing information, sharing education experiences, and most foremost, just solid mentorship.
Yes.
I think when it comes to my team members, it's always key for me as, the leader, to always have my door open to any progression or even stagnation or even regression that they might have.
Yeah.
I'm not only looking for that person that's always successful. I'm always looking, I'm also reaching out to those that are having a little bit more problems
That are stuck.
with the industry. It is a difficult industry, real estate.
Why
You
is that?
might. Well, I would say the main component, number one, is the competition.
Okay.
There's a lot of competition. We're in a state
Oh,
where,
Florida, yeah.
real estate is abundant. I mean, you
Yeah.
can bump into,
Yeah.
person
I
on the
don't
street.
know how many realtors I have. I know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, those that are actually practicing and those that are actually having a full-time job, that could be a different argument. The transition, I think, sometimes can make it difficult because I do get a lot of people that are coming from, W-2 positions
Yes.
with guarantees.
Yes.
If you didn't know out there, you're thinking about
Yes.
getting your license, understand this is a commission-based industry.
So let's elaborate on that a little. When you have a W-2 job and you get hired, they said your salary is going to be $70,000. Of that $70,000, Uncle Sam, yes, your favorite uncle, gets their percentage off the top. The Social Security, the Medicare, and the federal tax. Whatever is left is now your net for you to survive on. And if you don't know how to manage that, guess what? You're stuck. Whereas, but that's guaranteed. Every 2 weeks, every week, however your pay schedule is. But when you're transitioning from W-2 to commission, or even some people who are 1099 contractors, they don't have that discipline.
Correct.
And which is what I like. That's why I wanted you to be a guest on my show, because I've watched you. You coach them. You teach them. Listen, this is not the school district. This is not IBM.
Right.
This is you, myself, and I. Remember I told you I like my favorite person? Me, myself, and I? You have to sit down with you and have a serious you talk.
Yep.
You need to know how much you need for the mortgage, for the rent, for the light, for the water. You need at least $5,000 a month, okay? So therefore you need to go out there and make at least $8,000 a month, right?
Yeah, it depends on your lifestyle.
Well, I say at least because everything's tripling now.
I would say
going
that's
out to eat.
great amount.
Yeah,
If you can do that in your first year, you're doing well.
Well, I'm not saying to do that in your first year, but I've heard you talk, and so I think the transition should be to maybe wean off your W-2.
Correct.
You know?
Well,
and not
I
just
think,
cold turkey.
you know, and it's not only the budget issue, it's also the time issue.
The time, yes.
Being able to allocate enough time in your day, your week, your month to dedicate.
You use my word. Allocate.
Allocate. It's a good word. It's
You can't manage your time.
correct.
We all have 24 hours. Whether you're rich, poor, black, white, big muscle, strong man like this, or weenie looking me like me. we're gifted equal across the board, 24 hours. So you allocate.
Allocate. You have to go get that.
Yes.
And really, like you say, buy into yourself, because
Yes.
one thing about real estate is that, you know, we're like with so many industries, we're selling the same product, which is property. In my case, property and mortgages. But the client is buying into you.
Me.
Correct.
My clients, my tribe come to me because of me. Yes, I'm quirky, I'm goofy, but I'm stern, I'm straightforward. I tell you like it is. And that. If they want that, that's who they're going to come to.
Correct.
Like I tell people that are in the accounting industry, we're not competitors. My only competition is me. I want to be a better version of me than 5 minutes ago. That's my competition.
Right.
You listen to your customer, you listen to your client, and you give them what they need. They're not going to like your answers sometimes.
Absolutely not. But you have to always separate that line
Yeah.
and conduct yourself as the professional, the person with the experience.
And the knowledge.
The knowledge, the wherewithal,
Yes.
the resources.
Yes.
I would love to say that, you know, I'm the one lending the money, but I'm not.
You're not.
I'm actually brokering.
You're the face.
Correct, I'm the face.
Yes. You're the
Um,
mediator.
And I'm going to help you with a very tough decision.
Yes.
Right? You know, taking an advisory role to real
Yes.
estate is the most important part.
Yes.
We don't sell real estate, we really consult you on it.
Oh, say that again. We don't sell real estate.
We don't sell real estate,
We
we
consult
you on it. We help, we navigate.
I like that.
We navigate with you, and we show you your choices, and definitely make a recommendation
I
on,
like that.
on an option.
Because we all have in our head the type of house we want.
Mhm.
You know, we probably cannot verbally express it down to the square footage or the way we want the bathroom window to angle to the northwest corner. I don't know why, but that just what came to my head. But we have an idea.
Yes.
So your goal after sitting down with your customer or your client,
Mhm.
you see what their financial situation is.
Correct.
You see based on what they say they want, where they want to buy their house,
That's right.
the square footage, the size. You see if they can afford it.
Mhm.
Then you go speak with the people with the money. You're the broker.
Correct.
You go brokerage,
Yeah.
right?
Or find your choices.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, the way we are supposed to traditionally to go about helping a person buy their home
Mm-hmm.
is to come up with their housing budget. This is so important because we can easily fall into, hey, I would love to have this, I would love to have
Of
that,
course.
which is one of the reasons why I feel like the combination of both with,
Mhm.
you know, Home and Loan Solutions team is so important. As we're working with your budget, we can show you the homes that you
That
can
are
actually
within your
buy.
budget, that you can afford every month. You got to pay that
Correct.
mortgage every month and the light bill. Don't just look for the money to pay the mortgage.
Correct.
There's something called upkeep. You know what that is? You know, you gotta. I have some
Yeah,
fix up that I have to do in my house, so I'm very
improvement.
familiar with
Correct.
upkeep. There's maintenance and there's improvement. The maintenance is cutting the grass every month and maybe every 2 weeks, and making sure that you're cleaning your driveway and changing light bulbs. There's a lot of little things we don't think about. That's why I think I did a class for Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
Before you can close on a home, they have you come through my class and some other people who are teaching that class, and we talk about that budget. You can't call the landlord. Guess what? You're the landlord.
That's right.
You don't call the landlord and say, hey, the toilet is plugged up and I need you to send somebody. Guess who's going to pay for that? You. So they teach you that transition from even being a renter to a homeowner.
Yeah. And it's true, there's a higher responsibility. Of course, there's a higher rate of return, let's say, with your investment, which is the property. But, just like with any, investment vehicle, you have to maintain it for it to maintain its value. And, of course, at one point or another, either sell the property at a profit or rent it in good condition, where you can get
rental income.
Get rental income.
And use that to buy another one and another one and another one, build generational wealth.
It's also great, home ownership, as you know, there are also a lot of tax incentives behind it.
Yes, so we're gonna get into my world?
We can get into your world.
They
actually go together.
Let's get into my world a little. So I was telling somebody that I enjoy meeting brokers. So when I'm preparing a tax return for a client, including my existing clients, every year, besides how are you doing, how are the kids, how's the husband, how's the wife, blah, 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 is, are you planning on buying a house this year? Or are you planning on refinancing a house or getting a line of credit? Oh, no, I'm good. Only to find out 3 months down the road. Especially my self-employed and business owners.
Yeah, they applied,
They want to apply, and they're like, oh my God, you didn't do my taxes right. Excuse me? So now I'm going to start recording our conversations. But anyways, there's a lot of write-offs when you're a homeowner.
Yep.
Now, when Trump got in office the first time, the standard deduction and the itemized deduction, they all got bumped up. So now a lot of people cannot itemize, because the standard deduction for a single person bumped up to the $12,000. So now itemization, you need to have the property insurance. If you have PMI insurance, you can claim that. Property tax, and then the interest that you paid on the property. Those are the key 3 big items. And then after that is high medical if you have major surgery, and then your charitable contribution. But a lot of people are cutting back on those. So when somebody comes to me, every year I have a couple clients that'll say, oh, you tell me I didn't need my tax documents last year. I said, that was last year. What happened this year? Did you refinance the house? Oh yeah, I got a line of credit. Guess what? Now you have your first mortgage, interest, and property tax. Maybe PMI insurance still on that. And then you have your line of credit or your HELOC. That's an additional interest. Maybe this year we might have more than the standard deduction, plus your charitable contribution, plus, oh, my wife had major surgery. What you paid? About $7,000. Well, guess what? We add all those numbers together. Now you can itemize. So yeah, every year changes. So because every year changes, I ask you for those documents every year. I'm not being a pain. I really am not. I'm looking out for you. You can pay me, or you can go pay Uncle Sam. I think you should pay me. I'm prettier.
I think you'll use the money.
I'll use the money wisely, and I'll bring it right back into our community.
Exactly.
Because I shop in our community. I eat in our community. So.
Well, I gotta say that when it's tax time, especially with the self-employed, or I would say mostly the self-employed, CPA, tax consultant, tax advisor, however you want to address them, is probably as intricate and as important as the mortgage consultant and the realtor. For the simple reason that if we're getting into the more I would say, conventional and FHA loans, we need these tax returns to match a certain criteria.
And that's the first thing I do. I said, are you buying? They say, yes, they're buying a house. I said, who's your broker? Have them call me.
Correct.
Because I want to know. Yeah, I want to know, what do you need to qualify? And it's not that I'm going to fudge any numbers. If you're self-employed or if you have your business, there's some deductions per your entity, per your business style or setup. You have to have those deductions. Like, for example, I have an office. That's guaranteed. Now, even if I worked remote, I'm going to have some expenses, like a laptop and printer, So in each industry, they know their standardized deductions. Now there's the extra ones, the travel, the meals, the ones we splurge
The
on.
ones they want to push, which lower your taxable income,
Yeah.
and you have less of the liability.
Yeah, so you pay less in tax fee, the liability, but if you want to refinance or you want to buy that house, guess what? Your income, your adjusted gross income, your AGI does not reflect what you guys want to look at.
Correct. And once again, I'm talking to mostly anybody that's applying for a conventional or an FHA.
So conventional FHA, explain that.
So conventional, both of them are going to require 2 years worth of tax returns. Okay, so we average those out.
Okay.
24 months, and that becomes your qualifying income. But what's most exciting, and I still work with my CPAs, is for the self-employed, we come out with a hybrid product known as the bank statement loan, which basically takes all your bank statement deposits and it aggregates it over a 12-month period. We take that average and that becomes your income. As we might know, your deposits are definitely going to be a lot higher than what your actual income return is going to be at the end of the year. So you're able to qualify for more. But we always need the help of an accountant to write us and vouch for this business. Basically saying, hey, look, they've been in business for at least 2 years. I do their books and a couple other, some more verbiage in there. But the tax preparer for self-employed, very key. Try not to wing it. Try not to go out there and then first look at what you're going to report before filing it, because we can actually review those.
Yes.
And actually underwrite, which means that we can make decisions, loan approval decisions, before you actually file the return.
And I've actually had this conversation. So I would get a call from the lender or the broker, and they would say, well, we need them to be at this amount.
Correct.
And then I would sit down with the client and I say, well, listen, these in your industry are standard. If you're a truck driver, we know you have to have the insurance. We know you did the repairs. We know you changed those tires for $500 a pop. We know those are guaranteed expenses. You can't drive on the road an 18-wheeler for a whole year and not have changed a single tire. Come on.
Exactly.
You're looking to be audited,
Yeah.
But, maybe the meals. Did you pack your lunch, Did you go to your auntie's house on the road to North Carolina and she gave you some groceries? There's ways you can mitigate that and reduce, because they give you $69, $79 per day expenses for a truck driver, but maybe you only spend $30.
Right.
So if you're looking to buy a house, we're going to use the $30 that you spend instead of the flat $69 that they give you.
That's right.
And that's what we're talking about. We're not saying fudging and playing around with the numbers.
It's getting down to the details.
Yes.
And really seeing what the output can be, the potential of those tax returns. With lending, it's very strict.
Yes.
One thing that I always say, you don't lie to two people, God and the underwriter.
God and the underwriter.
They're both going to find out.
God will forgive you. The underwriter will say no.
Will deny you. Deny your entry. But it is something that has to be fine-tuned in advance, not after.
Yeah.
And once you file those taxes, and to then apply and then to revert those taxes or amend them, always becomes an issue.
And then once you're amending, so I'll speak, he keep kicking the ball. I like we're playing soccer here. I like that. So amending the return is not so much a big deal. It's a lengthier process.
Correct.
One, IRS has been backlogged for I don't know how many years. I've been in the industry since 1996. And I can't remember when they haven't been backed up.
Yeah.
On top of it, a lot of people either quit or got fired, so they're beyond backed up. So when you're amending a return, it can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days for them to even get that file, get their hands on the file.
That's right.
And I'm glad that a lot of softwares now are allowing you to electronically submit those amended returns, because back in the days you had to print them and mail them in.
Crazy.
So when they get mailed, and an agent has to, or data entry clerk has to take that physical paper and re-enter it into the IRS system. So that's time consuming, okay?
Absolutely.
And then send it to whatever department needs to review that, and then they do a quick audit.
Wow.
So when you already sent your tax return showing you owed IRS $5,000, and now you're amending it to show you owe $15,000, they're going to add interest from April 15th or March 15th, whenever those taxes were due.
Yeah.
Compound interest, and it used to be 3, 4, 5%. Now it's 5, 6, 7, 8%.
That's almost as bad as a
Compound.
credit card. Yeah.
You're not getting that from your bank.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. You're not getting that from your bank. So it behooves us to get better educated, to get more financial literacy, which is why I love the way you operate. Because yes, you're looking to make money. Of course, we're all in the business to make money and pay our bills and have some fun. But you want to educate the person. You don't want to just put them in a mortgage. And I said put them in the mortgage because we've had that. 2007, 8 balloon, 2009.
Yeah,
all those
I've been doing it long enough to remember
know.
those days, and I got to tell you, we should never go back to those days.
We should
a lot
not.
of people got hurt.
But some people are still doing that. I told you the scenario of a lady that I know that
Correct. I mean,
she had an arm. That's not the same. Is that the same
adjustable
as a
rate
balloon?
mortgage.
Adjustable
Yeah,
rate mortgage.
there's some benefits to that, but what we're talking about prior to the recession was just too much fraud.
Yeah.
But
People buying $300,000 home that cannot even afford $100,000. That's too much.
Our industry is heavily regulated. One other thing that we didn't have, back in the early 2000s was licenses for actual mortgage or loan officers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They
Didn't have
they could
licenses?
operate under the broker's license.
I did
So
not
there were
know
basically
that.
salespeople that were pitching these
Oh
sophisticated
my
products.
God, no wonder.
There was no accountability. So that
Wow.
was part of the whole TRID regulation.
So that's been fixed.
It's been fixed now. It's trackable. Every loan application has what's known as a National Mortgage Licensing System number.
Okay.
And that application follows you.
Oh.
So if you did something naughty, they're not going to be very nice to you.
It's
You
just
know,
like with
so-
us in the tax industry, we have a P10, practitioner taxpayer identification number. And you don't get it renewed if your tax returns, business and personal, are not in good standing.
Correct.
You can owe IRS making payment plans, meaning the tax returns were filed on time and so forth and so on. So you have to be on your P's and Q's before you can service somebody else and try to tell them to be on their P's and Q's.
That's right. That's
so
right.
I like that.
And that's the one thing that I believe in just any industry, but with real estate, it's such a big part of our economy, is having people that deal with the straight and narrow.
Yes.
We all like to do marketing. We all like to come up with new exotic potential
Ways
public
to
offerings.
attract clients.
Correct.
Yeah.
But let's do it fairly. Let's fully disclose. Let that client know exactly what they're signing.
Let's empower them to make the decision, to make an educated decision.
A very educated
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
You mentioned the adjustable rate mortgages. I mean, those used to be very popular, 15 years ago. Now, I can't remember the last time I wrote one.
Okay.
So it's become a lot more conservative in that sense. But we also have other type of loans that
Yeah, let's talk about those
allow
loans.
not only your first time home buyer, but your investor or maybe your second home buyer, foreign nationals that are coming from other
That's
countries.
true, yeah.
Matter of fact, one of the best type of loans that I've been doing with a lot of the people from my Haitian community are the work visa loans.
Okay.
So if you have at least 2 years worth of employment, you're able to use your work visa
to be able to
in
purchase
order
a
to
home.
qualify for federal
Okay.
housing or for a federal
Oh,
loan.
wow.
Correct.
That's good to know.
So it really helps a lot of people to just take a stake in the country, I would say.
And plant roots.
Plant the roots.
Yes.
Sense of community.
Yes.
Once a person owns a home, they generally
Yeah.
tend to invest in the
That's
community.
true. That's true.
Then
Then they start a business.
Correct.
Then they give me a call.
It all leads to you. No, but I think it's super important to give people the opportunity if they're doing the hard work, if they're keeping themselves I would say as a contributor to society, reward them with
With a home.
opportunities.
Yeah, I like
and,
that.
And a home is I
Yeah,
would
I
say
like
one of the
that.
biggest parts.
So let's paint. Let's do cookie crumbs. Okay? They're looking to get a home. So someone is interested in getting a home. What do you suggest is the first step, the second step, the third step, if there's such a thing, or is it zigzag?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's probably a 3-step process that you should
Okay.
consider before even thinking.
Okay.
First and foremost, know that if you're gonna buy a home, you're gonna have to pay for it.
Oh,
right?
really?
You got to pay for it.
I can't just
So,
move out of my mom's house and just...
you know, we would love to do that,
Aw.
and maybe that some people have it that easy.
Alex.
But I would say that know that, you know, you have consistency in your income, right? You know, a lender's not going to be as flexible as, let's say, as a landlord. You know, if you don't pay back the loan,
Yes.
we're going to get, you know, potentially into a collection or foreclosure. And that can really affect your credit. So understand what your budget is. Be stable with your job. Next,
Second
you
step.
want to be able to understand where you want to live. So if you've been renting in a particular area and enjoy it, you know, how about looking for homes there? That's when you contact a realtor. Contact a realtor, not necessarily for them to start showing you homes, for you to have that conversation of how the buying process is broken down. Third thing would be your financing, which is your mortgage broker, your lender, and understand what kind of loan programs you'll qualify for. And I use the word qualify very strenuously because, like I've said, you might feel like you can afford that home, but the bank is also in the business of protecting their money.
Their money. It's their money. Remember other people's money?
And they're gonna want to look at particular guidelines that, you know, will require you a minimum down payment, will require you what's known as a debt to income ratio, where we take, you know, your current income, we divide it by your expenses, and of course, being able to have the savings. Nobody likes to close on a home and have zero in the bank.
I like that part. So having the savings, what do you suggest, being in the industry as long as you've been, should be a rule of thumb for someone who's a first-time home buyer to have as in a form of savings?
Okay, so it all depends. I would say very, very strictly depends on the type of home that you're buying. But you know, your average median price right now in Palm Beach County is about $400,000.
Wow.
Right? You remember when it was 40?
I'm holding on to my little house. Okay. Wow.
But that's a single family residence. Median, correct.
Wow.
You know, there's going to be taxes, there's going to be insurance, there's other particulars of the housing expense or the housing budget. But when it comes to a down payment, your minimum right now would be with FHA, unless you receive down payment assistance, and that would be 3.5%.
Like the first-time home buyer program?
Yes,
Or
I mean,
VA?
they're called down payment assistance programs because they'll cover the down payment.
Okay.
And FHA is designed to work with these these third parties.
Okay.
Right, whether it's the city or even the in-house programs that we have.
Okay.
So if somebody's unable to come up with the down payment, but they have what's known as closing costs, they will only be responsible for the closing costs. There's other methods to cover that as well. Not telling people to not have anything in the bank, but your rule of thumb is to have at least 5 to 6% of the purchase price of the home. Right? So if we're looking at a $400,000 home, you know, we already know $25,000 would be a comfortable place to be in order to buy one with a down payment.
Okay. I like that.
But at Loan Solutions Team, we do have down payment assistance programs that'll help you with that down payment.
Let's talk about that, because you're a three-legged stool.
Yes.
So let's talk about the 3 legs.
Okay.
First leg
First leg.
is the mortgage. The real estate.
Yeah, I mean, real estate broker. In other words, I
broker.
have an agency with agents ready to act as soon as we qualify that buyer.
So those
For the
3
mortgage.
steps you gave earlier is you want to...
So you want to make sure that you're financially stable. Then you want to contact your local realtor.
So they would call...
They would call us.
Your
hopefully.
name is?
Loan Solutions Team, Alex Bendian.
Look into your camera and tell
Alex
them.
Bendian, Loan Solutions Team. And
That number?
Are we wrapping up?
Yeah, that number.
The number is 561. I was going to talk to you all night. I'm going to say all I need is a little water. And
No, we need some wine. What are you talking about, water?
It is
So
5 o'clock.
let's look.
So Alex Bendian, the Home and Loan Solutions Team, 2 separate companies for the same cause to provide home ownership to local residents here.
So we're
in
talking
South
about the
Florida.
3-legged stool. So the first one is the real estate brokerage team.
The real estate brokerage team. Then we have the mortgage
The
brokerage.
mortgage brokerage. And then you have...
And then we have a title company.
Yes,
So
so
the-
talk to us about that.
The title company is owned by Angelina Namia, who's to my right.
They can't
She's
see her.
in the audience. In the audience. Title is a little bit complicated to explain, but it basically helps you transfer a deed from a current owner to now you, the new owner.
Yes.
Okay, that along with the insurance that the title has to have in case the property has any potential liens or is in any way affected.
They want to make sure they did a background check.
Background check on the title.
On the title.
That's a great way to put it.
To make sure that that title is going to come to you, the new owner, clean and free and clean. That is yours. You completely own that property and you have the right to that.
Correct.
I have known so many. There were in Delray years ago. There were a real estate person who went to jail for that. Just not giving people clean titles.
Passing on some dirty titles.
Passing on some dirty titles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Title is extremely important, and it's necessarily known as marketable title.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to market it.
Yes.
If you indeed are going to sell it.
Yes.
Or even do anything with the mortgage. Right?
So you think about buying a car and you're paying payments on the car. Once you're done paying the last payment, they give you a title. They mail it to you, or you have to request it. I don't know, it's been a minute since I bought a car, but I think they mail it to you or you request the title. And so once you have your title, now you own that car, free and clear. And if you want to sell it to anybody, you just sign the part from the seller part, and then the buyer assigns the buyer part, and now it's their car. But you get your money first before you hand them the title.
There you go. You don't
So
want
it's
to
the
sign
same
anything
thing
without
too
the
with
dinero.
that. So your one-stop shop,
It's a one-stop shop.
three-legged stool,
Yes.
name of the mortgage.
Loan Solutions Team, Real Estate Brokerage Home Solutions Team, so I keep it within the same name family.
Solutions teams,
And then Title Solutions Team.
So they provide solutions to you, having a realtor to show you the type of house you would like to buy. Then the funding comes in to say, hey, I'm sorry, you can't afford that house, but you can afford this one. And then the title company says, oh, now that you have the house, let's make sure that nobody else has any access or right to your house, because now you have a clean title. So they take care of everything. One-stop shop.
Absolutely.
Phone numbers, please.
561-5776. I've had that number for over 20 years, so like I always tell somebody, if you forgot my phone number, that's no excuse, you just didn't want to call me. 561-577-5776.
561-577-5776.
5776,
A lot of
correct. I'm
sevens.
not losing that number.
Okay.
And then you can always email at alexb@my-lst.com. I'm also on social media under Alex Bendien. I have a lot of reels and small tips that I provide for homeowners. And then, but my best, where I'm best at is, generally over the phone, offering you a great consultation, knowing what your options are, and then really meeting your goals.
Okay.
Because
Phone number again, Alex?
561-577-5776. Alex Bendien with the Home and Loan Solutions team, along with the Title Solutions team. Like you say, the three-prong approach, or the three-legged
approach.
We're here to fit your real estate needs. Thank you very much.
I thank you so very much, Alex. It was a pleasure. I learned
My
so
pleasure.
much about you and so much about real estate and mortgage. My name is DERLINE Pierre Louis. You were watching, streaming, listening to Real Talk with DERLINE Pierre Louis. I am DERLINE Pierre Louis. Have a great day on purpose.
Real talk.